I have about $15,000 in credit card debt, and I have about $20,000 invested in a mutual fund. Should I sell my mutual fund and pay off my credit card debt? And I read that my credit scores would drop if I paid them off in full. Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather have your credit scores remain where they are and keep paying 25% in interest, or do you want to pay off that 25% in interest? Right? So here's the thing. There seems to be a very common misconception about the credit scores. Credit scores are great. We need them when we're about to take on a debt. And the only debt that I like to take out is mortgage, right? I have been debt-free since December 2015. And I use my credit cards to pay off the full balance every single month. And let's say I use $500 on a Visa credit card, and I just pay it off at the end of the month, and never carries over a balance. The fact that you think you're going to boost your credit scores by carrying over a balance, don't carry a credit card if you can't handle it. As soon as you feel like you're going to carry a balance on your credit card from one month to another, stop using your credit cards. This is coming from someone who once had over $47,000 in credit card debt. Don't do it. I don't know where your mutual fund is invested in. I can't give you personalized financial advice, but let's say this is not in a, Roth IRA or retirement. Don't cash out your retirement to pay off your credit cards. If you don't have any money to pay off your credit cards right now, just do the highest interest if you can to pay off your credit cards as soon as you can. All right. So this was my scenario. I had credit card 1. Let's say you have 10K. Okay. And then you have credit card 2 with 5K, and then credit card 3 with another 5K. So let's do 5K. Take a look at your interest rates on these. So let's say this one is like 22%, and then this one is 24%, and this one is like 26%. Okay. So if the balances are the same between 3 credit cards that you have, then I would start with the highest interest first, because that is most likely going to have the higher minimum payment dues. Okay. And it makes sense to do it because you have the similar balances. But what if you had like, say, 3K and you have like 6K, and let's say you have 5K with that? I would argue between these and just start with the lowest amount first. Okay. Because between 22% and 26%, it's a 4%. Remember, you're going to get your interest charged once a month, and it's daily interest accrual. Okay. So if you have balances that are like 3K, 5K, and 6K, I would start with the 3K, then move on to the 5K, and then move on to the 6K, right? Now, if you have a mutual fund, and what did you say? You have 20K on there. Okay. So if you cash out 15K, I don't know anything about your tax scenario, but let's just say you're going to owe 15% in capital gains tax, right? So you're not going to owe 15% for the entire $15,000. So let's say you have a cost basis is 12K. What that means is that is the money that you put in, right? 3K would be the realized gains. So that is what you earned from interest, earnings, and maybe dividend reinvestments. I don't know your mutual fund. So that would be taxed at 15%. So what is that? Okay. So that would be $450. So $450 is what you would owe in capital gains tax, right? So is that going to be enough for you to pay down your credit cards? Possibly. You just need to set aside $450 in a high yield savings account and just leave it alone until the tax season comes in January, February in 2025, because you will owe $450 in long-term capital gains. But if you're in the short-term capital gains, again, I don't know what your income situation is, but let's say you're on the 22 or 24% marginal tax rate. If it's 22% marginal tax rate, then you want to set aside $660. And if you're on a 24%, then you want to set aside $720 for federal income. Okay, that makes sense? So you want to do these calculations first because 15 grand is not going to be all 15 grand if you made any earnings and profit out of it. So make sure to check that out. So what do you think is better? Investing 500 bucks a month, making 10% return, or investing $1,000 a month, making a 7% return on investment? You can't figure out how much you can invest without a budget. There's no way around it. I personally tested out the budgeting app called YNAB, and it's not just an app that can track your income and expenses, but it can even help you create a plan to pay down your student loans, car loans, personal loans, or credit cards a lot faster. So if you're ready to change your life by getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, you can get a free trial without any credit card information by using a link in the description below. Here's the other thing I want you to really pay attention to. When you sell the mutual funds, you pay down all of these credit cards, gone, all right? This is something that a lot of people don't think about, is behavioral spending. How did you get to $15,000 in credit card debt in the first place? When I had $47,000 in credit card debt, between 5 credit cards with Capital One and Chase, $47,000, completely maxed out. How did I get to that point? Well, I had a spending problem, right? And I'm not saying that you have a spending problem because I don't know anything about you. But if you have a spending issue, you're not keeping track of your budget, right? That's really what comes down to it. People are like, oh, millionaires, billionaires, they don't budget. Billionaires probably hire an accountant to budget for them, but you really need to think about your behavior of spending. Let's say you pay off your credit cards today. What are the chances of you going back into credit card debt again? What if you rack up another 10 grand or 15 grand in credit card debt and you got no mutual funds right now, right? Let's say you drained it. That's all you got. Now you got to pay back with a 22, 24, 26% in interest, maybe even higher at 30%. You need to think about behavior spending and say, how did I get to that in the first place? The root cause always is budgeting. You're not budgeting. You're not tracking your spending. I'm still tracking my spending. I've been on the FIRE journey since 2016, and I'm still budgeting twice a week. I used to budget every single day when I was in debt. I don't have to do that anymore. But that's something that you really have to think about. Don't worry about your credit scores. Really don't. I would, if the credit scores drop from like say 740 to 710, but you paid off your credit cards, I would rather have you pay off your credit cards than worry about your credit scores. They will always go up. And I have been debt free, and I've been using my credit cards, pay off the balance every single month. My credit scores are almost perfect. They're like 830 or and above for the last 3 or 4 years. Okay. I don't have a personal loan. I don't have a car loan. I don't have a 401k loan. Well, that doesn't count against your credit, but I don't have any debt except for my mortgage. And my credit scores have been in an excellent category. So really just, the credit scores are really irrelevant when it comes to your credit card debt. You need to get rid of those and just move on from it and, prevent getting back into credit card debt again. Boost up your savings. Go to firesetchat.com/resources and you get all those resources, spreadsheets that you can download for free. Okay. And you can always go to my website, firesetchat.com/coaching to schedule a consultation with me if you want to. But you got to think about your behavior spending. That's really the root cause of most credit card debt anyway in this country. And we're still on the record for the most credit card debt ever. So good question though. Thank you for bringing that up. And I hope that helps you in the future.